You're going to give it a second. What's good, everybody? Lovely Soul Empress here, coming to do our live. Okay, I usually come on Monday through Friday and do a live. Today, we're going to get into some things that I've been noticing that has been circulating, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, I feel like it's important, and we need to have some discernment about what's happening in the collective. Okay, so what's good, Leah Lou? What's good, Nick? What's good, Shell? What's good, Copenhagen? Okay. Ooh, you going to France? Ooh. So, let's talk about some things. Okay, first off, there's something circulating the web right now about a ruling that supposedly happened recently, and it's true and false. Okay, so I want to clear up some things. So I did some research this morning. Okay, and we're going to talk about that as well. But what was circulating, okay, oh, the passport. Okay, I wish I was going to France. What's good, Tamila? So I did some research because I had been seeing something that was going, viral. And I wanted to make sure that the collective has the accurate information. And I am not putting my thumb on the scale of either side, okay? I just feel like, it's very important that we know where things are coming from. What's good, Valentina? And why? Okay, because I feel like just as good as the web is good for finding information, it's also good for disinformation. So we're going to clarify some things today. Okay, so I don't know, a lot of the stuff that's been floating around the web has been inferring that there is a new ruling saying that, 100 miles from every shoreline, right, for the whole border of the nation. Let's see if I can show this here. Hold on. Okay, that the whole border of the nation, 100-mile perimeter from each all around, basically has no Fourth Amendment. Now, what does the Fourth Amendment say? That you have a right to for your home not to be searched without probable cause, or needing, what's good, Tawanda, or needing a warrant to come in and look in your home. That is a common law that we believe we have here in the States. Okay, so I just wanted to first talk about the Fourth Amendment and what it means, because it comes into play as this thing that has been circulating the web, and I want to make sure that everybody that's watching has appropriate information, and then you can make your determination on that. Okay, so last week or earlier in this week, supposedly there was a ruling that said that they could do this anywhere within 100 miles of the complete border around the nation. And people are up in arms about it. You might have already seen this cross your timeline. And I went in and did some research, and it turns out that it's true and false. True and false. So what's the part that's true? That law has been in place since 1953. That's the true part. Okay, false. The false part is that this was just ruled upon this week under this administration. Now, I'm not playing any favorites. I just want you to have facts. Facts are important right now, okay? Especially, for several years, and even now, it seems like there's so much disinformation that we can't tell what's true and what's not. Okay? So, since 1953, there have been challenges to the case, okay? In the 70s, there was a challenge to it in regards to whether this applied everywhere. It stood, okay? And then in the 90s, it was also challenged. It stood again, okay, with some limitations, okay? It's up in arms as to whether devices seized within that area can be looked in, okay? What was decided this week, okay, was not by, and again, I'm not putting my thumb on where, okay, or whom. I want you to have proper information, because then we're going to do the reading and we're going to see what this is all about, okay? It was not decided by the administration, but it was decided by the Supreme Court that the only person, the only entity that has the right to challenge this is the new part. The only, like from before that, if you had an incident, you could challenge this law and take it up the court system, right? But now they changed it so that way the only people that could fight against this would be Congress. Now you know that they can't agree on shit. So the likelihood of it being opposed or changed or any kind of agreement coming out of that entity is probably not going to happen, because they can't agree on shit. Okay? So I feel like what we need to be looking at is why the Supreme Court is making this ruling, and who benefits from the disinformation of making it seem like this administration set that rule, because the cronies, okay, we're talking now, the cronies in that, let's call them SC, okay, the Supreme Court, SC, right? Right now, there's not a balance in that entity, right? There's not a balance. And right now, there is quite a few cronies in that entity. So are they're obviously, what's good, Pink? They're obviously not, that administration, or I should say, that entity is not in alignment with the administration right now, okay? They're not aligned. Okay, so who gains from this? And who gains from bringing this to the public now, okay? I have my suspicions, but we're gonna check with the cards, okay? Because I'm very curious as to what Spirit has to say about this, okay? Anything else in this deck? Anything else in this deck? Thank you. Right. And they do that here in the States too. Okay, so you have here Nephilim, controversial, assessing, new perspectives. So let's start with who benefits from this controversial information being put out into the ethers now, considering that this law has been on the books since 1953. So why is it coming to the collective now? And what is the push? That's the question. Who gains from this push? And, you know, it says controversial, assessing, and new perspectives. So who is assessing how the public would receive this information, and what kind of new perspective are they trying to put into the collective mind? Because I feel like that's the question. Okay, you have Men in Black in reverse, stalking, intimidation, confrontation. So it's in reverse. So someone is gaining from putting a notion in the collective mind. And I am not saying that we are not being monitored. We've always been monitored, right? But who gains from this right now? Okay, because if this has always been and it's been nice and quiet unless you knew the law, then who's gaining from this perspective right now? I feel like that is very much the question. Okay, let's use this gateway of light activation. I find it, and we're going to use some terms. You guys know that I'm careful about what I say so that we don't get flagged, right? But there are certain entities that are outside of the states right now that are in conflict. And I'm sure if you think about it, you'll know what I'm talking about, okay? This conflict, whether, whatever your opinion of it, it's affecting certain things here because they produce a lot of wheat, right? A lot of fertilizer, right? And there's someone who's trying to go into their sovereignty as a nation. This person who's trying to go in with the sovereignty of that nation, trying to take over something, I'm sure you guys can figure out who I'm talking about, right? He was a close buddy to the orange one, right? And there's been a lot of disinformation hitting. Yes, Copenhagen, thank you. There's been a lot of disinformation that's been hitting the web. And for those of you who don't know, the one that is out of the borders here, that is trying to take over somewhere, trying to be careful how I talk, so please stay with me, okay? Please try to use your discernment. This person used to head up an organization called the KGB. One of their tactics is dissemination, so that there is distrust on both sides. And this allows this person to have complete control, unchecked power. Okay? So what does he have to gain? Because I feel like there's certain things that this person is doing to assist the orange one. Because if the orange one was to come back into power, then the greater plan could be activated. He was the head. He wasn't in it. He was the head. He was the leader. Okay? What's good, BJ? All right, so let's talk about what came out here. Stellar gateway activation, infinite potential, manifestation vortex. I feel like this is what we're in. I feel like we are coming to a period where knowledge is quite accessible to the collective for those who want to look, right? And we're learning all these new spiritual gifts, and we're opening ourselves to our infinite potential, like the card says. We also know that there are people who are trying to slow this activation down. Let's say that, okay? Now you have ancestral realm, karmic release, healing the lineage, boundaries. And we talked about the DNA codes and the second strand, and an awakening that was happening of people's gifts. And I feel like this is very much so. I feel like if you do some simple research to the things that cross your phone or whatever, right, from these information, you could sit with it, do the research first, and sit with it, and ask Spirit to show you why that would be. Okay, because you got star gathering here. Stars aligned, remembering home, soul family, right? And this is what we're doing. So who would want to disrupt that? Who would want to disrupt that? And what is to be gained from that? Okay, you got Merkaba activation, transcendence, ascension. You are rising up, right? And this is the collective. But also, when you look at it from not an individual stance, who wants the collective to rise up? Who gains from the collective rising now? And why wasn't this information put out, let's say, in 2018 or 2019? Why is it hitting now? Right? Does it benefit somebody? Halls of amenity, initiation, secrets revealed, treasures uncovered, initiation. So yeah, there were secrets. We know there were secrets. But why are they being uncovered now? And who has to gain from them? Now, I'm not saying that we should be without knowledge. I'm all for the knowledge. What's good, Jennifer LaRoe? I'm all for the knowledge. But I'm also very aware that nothing is by chance. So who wants us to know this information, and why do they want us to know it? And what are they trying to gain from us knowing this information? That is the true question. Let's go with the motivation manifesto. I feel like that sounds pretty accurate. So who gains from this shit? So, during this reading, I'm going to be using a lot of codes. You may have to listen to it twice. You're going to have to use your discernment, especially if you are watching this back on the replay, because my usuals, they know how I speak, and they're going to be in the chat talking about the codes. So you may not have the liberty of seeing that later, but use your discernment. We must be conscious and responsible for our beliefs and behaviors if we are ever to be free. This is telling me that Spirit is saying, don't be gullible. Right? It's wonderful that we're getting all this information, but we also need to be mindful as to who gains from this and why release things now. I'm not saying we should be asleep. I'm saying that anything that is put out has a purpose. Okay, we gain power from again and again allowing ourselves to choose the kind of recklessness that allows us to be vulnerable, genuine, and brave in the pursuit of our dreams, right? And what if what seems to be like free information is really trying to cause a further divide within particular sectors? Okay? What does that have to do with this? Okay? Because I feel like nothing from nothing it's a song that's popping into my head. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You gotta have something if you want to be with me, right? So there's a reason why this is done. Don't think that, it's by chance and somebody smart just found it. Okay, that would be gullible. The main motivation of humankind is to be free, to express our true selves and pursue our dreams without restriction, to experience what may be called personal freedom. And right now, there is a big, thing about if personal freedoms are being limited. So who gains from making the collective believe that their current freedom is limited if this ruling has been on the books since 1953? Because it's not new. So who gains from making the public believe that it's new? We must ask if our desires to feel safe and accepted are in fact enslaving us to popular opinion and to boredom. Right? So someone would gain from making people believe that there is a current, let's say, powers that be, that all of a sudden are after particular freedoms, when in fact this was put in place in 1953. So what are they trying to push? What agenda is being pushed right now? Because that's what's happening. Spirit, anything else from this deck? Nothing remarkable in our personal growth can be achieved without opening to love and unleashing its joyful fire into the world. So if we're all having a grand awakening and it's light and love, and we're trying to open to the consciousness of all, right? The Christ consciousness, that all is one in the frequency of love, then disseminating information as if it were new is definitely a motive, because what they want to do is install fear, hatred, division, right? And the inability to discern what is true and what is not. And I feel like that's what's happening here. Now, am I saying that this ruling is nothing to be concerned of? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that a lot of times they show their hand right beforehand, right? So give me a second. With love's transcendent power, we can be reborn and redirected. We can open to love. Life itself can feel newer, more alive, more magical, and more meaningful, right? So what if someone were to disseminate information to shift power away from someone, right? And then use the very information that they said somebody else was using once they regain power. Because as far as I know, this administration is not building a wall, but who was? Who was trying to build the wall? So could it be that that other person who is not from here, who was not from here, and who headed up a particular agency that used dissemination in their own country, and that's how he rose to power. And then he had a little buddy who was in power here, the orange one. And then that orange one lost. And then since then, there's been a shitload of information trying to make it seem like this particular person. Now, don't get me wrong. All of these people, they have an agenda, right? But this person is relabeling their agenda to the present person. Why is that? Because they're setting it up so that way, if that other person comes back into power, they will put this shit in place. So they're going to use the public's ignorance and the public's lack of doing their own research, the gullibility of just believing things that they see, right? To dethrone, right? The people, to dethrone the people that stand in between us and them. Because that's the truth. I'm sorry to say it. And there might be some of you that, you know, may not agree with me, and that's okay. But I'm telling you what Spirit's been showing me. Okay? And so this person who's presently in power right now is being targeted for 2 reasons, they say. Being targeted for 2 reasons, they say. Because he was in power, the second in command with the great one that we all have so much love for. And because he put in power someone of the same complexion as his right-hand person, we'll say. So right now, this person is considered enemy number 1, and they want the collective to think that. Okay? Courage is at the bottom of the deck. Courage is a superpower. They want us to be in the frequency of fear, in the frequency of hate, in the frequency of disbelief, in the frequency of not having faith. Why is that? Inner knowing. Ask yourself if 6 years ago you would have had this same impression of the person that is now in power, right? And what and who gains from trying to slander this person's reputation? And I don't care. People might not like what I'm saying, but it's the truth. Who gains from that? Because we're in the process of healing. And who wants to disrupt this healing? And what's to gain from that? Because somebody's trying to turn the clock back. Okay? And maybe they, you might think, okay, so they're trying to turn the clock back to the orange one. No, they're trying to turn the clock back to the 50s. Right? Cultivation. And so these seeds are placed now. Right? We all saw what happened on January 6th. Right? And those seeds were planted over the whole 4 years of that person's administration. For that moment, to not have to turn over or relinquish power, right? So if that's the case, then what makes you think that these same people are not cultivating disinformation so that they can turn the collective and confuse the collective so they can rise to power again and finish what they started? That's what it's really about. Determination, right? Because there's not only the person that was in power who's determined to try to regain power, but there's other places in the world, other people who would benefit. Okay? Yes. Right? And what they need is to stop the harmony. What, as light workers, as people who are unlocking the gifts, they want to stop that. Y'all are coming into harmony. Y'all are starting to tap into the all, into the collective. Oh, y'all are finding your superpowers. Oh, we need to figure this shit out. Okay? What is that about? And are we just gonna believe? Have we been wiped of our memory? Because I thought about that. Have we been wiped of our memory? Because why all of a sudden is this person so demonized when 6 years ago this person was so loved? What is this long-term campaign? And why is the campaign that is trying to dethrone this person sound so much like the same accusations they were using against HC, a feminine, right? oh, she was supposedly, you know, suffering from dementia or whatever, right? And now all of a sudden this person, every time I see him on TV, you know, he's saying stats off the top of his head. So why are they trying to make it sound like he don't know what's happening? Right? I know for sure that Reagan didn't know shit, was just reading off the teleprompters. He was the one who had the memory issues. Why are they pushing this agenda so hard? And you know what they're doing, right? They're trying to sway a particular segment of the collective, the melanated, right? Because the melanated always used to say that Joe had a irrevocable card to the barbecue, right? Because he stood alongside the great one, right? So why all of a sudden are they pushing so hard for the collective, the melanated collective, to have distrust of this person? Because he's the only thing that right now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't care what anybody thinks. If they want to unsubscribe, they can unsubscribe. He's the only thing that stands between them and us. He's the only thing that stands between them and us. Did you forget? Do you have amnesia what the last 4 years was like prior to this and what was happening? Because I know that Puerto Rico is part of the common law of the states, and there were people that were being held against their will to have to show that they were born here. So who's benefiting? Who's benefiting and who wants the collective to believe that? Okay, wasn't this same person was talking about how those votes shouldn't be counted? And then his cronies go ahead and put a decision on the books that the only people who could challenge this, because up until from the 50s to now, if you felt your rights was violated within that 100-mile border, you could take it to the Supreme Court. But you can no longer do that because they recently decided that the only people that have the power to do that is Congress. So who benefits from that? And why would this person who is highly, okay, that's who we voted for, right? So obviously, if he wants to run again, then he needs our support. So it doesn't make you question why they're pushing this agenda that this particular person's trying to do away with our rights. Y'all better wake up. Quinette, sweet paradise of empowering grace. And we've been trying to wake up, right? We went through 2 years of being at home, and people used that time wisely and were starting to use discernment, meditation, yoga, and learning about themselves, right? Right? Goddess of Teotihuacan, the guards of water's life. Now, if you notice that image, it showed all the borders, right? I'm going to tell you what I think, and I could be wrong. I feel like what they want is what they're doing in the Caribbean. Think about it. The most valuable property in the Caribbean is the waterfront, the beaches. And in all these nations, they have privatized the beaches and the waterfront. But here we have a lot of high-end properties on the waterfront. So maybe the thing is that they want everybody who would feel threatened, you know, the people who have the complexion that would need the protection. Maybe they wanted them to hurry up and rush within, to be outside of that perimeter, so that everybody could leave those waterfronts and then they could privatize the beaches and make a grip. Mayu, some from the galactic heart, Soma from the galactic heart. Okay? Ask yourself if this shit feel true, or are certain powers that be that are within the country and outside of the country teaming up to flood the airways so that certain segments of the population will no longer trust. And are we going to trust the Supreme Court? Are we going to trust these local leaders who are teamed up heavily with the orange one? Abuela Medicina, remedy of the grandmothers. And here we are learning all our information from our ancestors as this second stream of DNA awakens, and we're learning that we can cure ourselves and that we don't need the medicine from these corporations that is really poisoning us. They name the particular elements of plants, things, so that we won't know what plant it came from, but it's basically the same thing. They're just extracting these certain properties, right? And then lacing it with other things that will cause other issues. Listen, I'm trying to say it in a way, okay? I need y'all to pay attention. Certain things don't make sense, people. What they're trying to inspire is fear, so that we can run back to the orange one and give them complete power over us. Yes, to make us completely vulnerable from our cultural memory. Okay, I was listening to something this morning, and the person was saying, you know why they did the GMO? When they did GMOs, they took the seeds out. Why? So that you won't go plant. Because if you wake up and you're like, you know what I need to do? I need to start planting. Where are you going to get the seeds? Right? You understand? Who gains from this? Judgment. And that particular person, is also just a crony for other powers, right? Because what they needed was to find a puppet that was divisive enough that certain groups would want to get behind them for different reasons, different segments, small populations of hatred. And he would unite them as a greater cause, because they know that the melanated, right? And because there's the separate segments of melanated, right? Black and Latinos, right? Asians, right? And then women, right? If they join together, then it's a problem, right? So judgment, look at us ascending. And the Ten of Swords in reverse, we got to stop that. How do we stop that? They're healing from the 400 years of oppression. Well, we could use the court system. Don't forget that let's just say the SC is the head of this court system. We'll use them because we have an unbalanced SC right now. And most of them were put in by the orange one, right? And we can stop the abundance, right? Because remember, what's good, Evelyn? Remember that the last time that the Great One, we'll refer to him as the Great One, when he came in, they destroyed the economy and then he fixed it, right? So they kind of know that this person who's there now is already doing that. Okay, so what did they do? They started to cause problems that were unnecessary. If you look at the job reports of every month, they've gone up. So they wanted to make it seem like, okay, so where else? Oh, okay, let's have a food shortage. Let's raise the fuel prices so that they feel trapped. Let's even tell them that they're in a firmament. Let's make them think that that science doesn't matter anymore. You got a lot of people running around believing stupid shit without proof. Yeah, I said it. A lot of it is stupid shit. Two of Pentacles. And I want to say something else. A lot of times what they do is they use people within, just like they did back in the 1600s. They use people from within. So you got a lot of people who are being used for their melanin, right? The head of the Proud Boys was a Latino, right? So they can have his brown ass face that he looks straight like Dominican. They can use his brown ass face as the poster boy. You think that shit was an accident? So they go and they look out for people who are mentally not well and who hate themselves, and then they use them. So just because you're going up down TikTok and you see a brown face, you better go research that shit. You better go research that shit. Two of Pentacles and the Hierophant. Right? Because there's options. Right? And they want to keep us so busy that we don't see what the right hand is doing with the left, right? And I'm going to show you something in a second. Thank you, Spirit. Who's this? And what do they have to gain by keeping us so busy? Who's this? And they're using the court system, like I said, against this person to, you know, put so many toxic ideas, because what they want is they want a second time around so they could finish what they started. And then you got the High Priestess here in reverse. Let's fuck with their intuition. They think they're being awakened. Let's put some false propaganda out there. With the Page of Wands. And I'm not saying that it can't be used in that way. I'm saying that they want you to mistrust this particular person so that when they come back into power, they can use it. How about that? And if you don't believe me, wasn't this particular orange person trying to send the military to the border? Wasn't that a big thing? Did y'all forget? Did y'all forget who was really trying to do that? Right? So this looks like, yes, thank you. This looks like the current person, right? who they're trying to, he's carrying a candle. He's like, this is the way, right? This is the way. And look at them trying to chase him out so that they can come after us. And the purpose here is to keep you stuck in your head, so you'll be in so much fear and sorrow that you can't manifest shit. And they want you to feel like this person is gonna harm you, right? But really, they're the ones for all this time who've been stripping powers. Shit, they're stripping him while he's there against him. Roe versus Wade. Five of Pentacles in reverse. Look what they show you. It's like a womb, right? With the heart, right? Five of Pentacles. Oh, it's not us, it's them. We didn't put you out in the cold. It's them that did it. Let's confuse them. Say they don't know where the heartbreak is coming from, right? And let's keep them working, right? For every little cent. Never give increases in the wages. And break down the unions, because what they want is what they're looking for is basically complete sovereign power over the worker. Put out our products, make us money, fuck your rights. So what if you don't got food? Why do you think some of these major corporations go outside of the country to have their things so that they can make it for cheaper with slave labor? Who historically, what party historically has been trying to stand with unions? The same administration that's there now, but they want us to believe now that all of a sudden it's this person. Who has the most to gain from this shit? I need y'all to pay attention. Because you see what 4 years of disinformation did under the orange one? If we're not paying mind, they're using the same tactic right now. So basically it'd be 8 years. They're the ones who want civil disruption. They're the ones, we saw it on January 6th. They're the ones who are trying to cause this uprising. Why? Because of the Six of Cups, right? Because they romanticize a time when we didn't have power. And that's what they want. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Oh, thank you so much. Look at this. Right? Because they wanted to be, you know, what was the phrase? Make America great again. Right? And we elected the brown one. And they don't want that shit to ever happen again, right? And then what does the party of the brown one, or the party of this administration, right? They're always fighting for healthcare, rights, right? Am I saying they don't put shit in their pocket? You know they put some in their pocket, but either side is putting something in their pocket. So we could just leave that alone because we live in a country that is capitalistic, right? So if we already know that either side is going to take money in the pocket, then don't we want to stand with the party that at least is going to protect our civil rights? Roe versus Wade, laws that protect us. Roe versus Wade is part of the 14th Amendment. So if you chip that part away, you know, the 14th Amendment also has our freedoms. So who really gains from this shit? Start thinking, okay? The party that's in power right now with the Six of Pentacles, they actually need us, right? But what they want is the 10 of Wands in reverse. For us to run to them because they want us to believe that all of a sudden they want to do right by us when they spent all this time sowing the disinformation so that they could abuse their power. Look at them, stacking our money in the safe. You feel me? Okay? And now that we're starting to get some illumination, look what they use, the computer. Oh, they sit in front of the computer all day? All right, so that's what we're going to use, right? We'll collaborate with the Three of Pentacles, with people in power, and we will block them, okay? And work on their mental state so that we can get back to the Six of Cups, just like I said, how they liked it. Make America great again, right? And the Hermit, and they will feel like there's no one to trust. Right? And they gave out checks under theirs, right? Oh, because we're here for you, right? Did they tell you that they were paying companies to keep us at work? Extra money? Look it up. Look how much the employers got for every employee that stayed working. Right? So if it was such a national crisis, then why were they giving them money to keep us at work? Right? Knight of Swords. Now, before I get into this Knight of Swords, if you go back in history, right, there was no reparations, but did you know that the plantation owners were given a stimulus for every person that was freed? But we got shit. Okay? All right, and then you have the Knight of Swords. Right? Let's pull out some people that they'll believe, people that look like them, to make announcements as if it was fact and truth, because they'll believe them. They'll believe them, all right? And then we'll be in Four of Wands in every home, and these people will be turning to us for peace and harmony. Right? But they're the ones, they want us to believe that that with them we have a choice. Right? But they're against the LGBT community. They're against women. They're against minorities. They're against particular freedoms that would give us empowerment. So you're telling me that we had to have votes recounted because these people were so upset that this person was put into power because he was the right-hand man of the great one. And now all of a sudden, he's the bad guy and they're our saviors. Tap in, y'all. Tap in. Six of Pentacles. Before I even pull for the Six of Pentacles, look at the illusions. Seven of Cups. It's all an illusion. Correct, Jennifer. Correct. Right? So we got one agency or one group of people who, yeah, they make money. Don't get fucked up. They make some money, right? They all gonna make money, right? But at least they'll give something back to the people, preserve particular rights and laws, right? Why would they do that? Because it's those people that put them in power. So they know that they need to protect our rights if they want to come to power. That's just common sense, right? And then you have these people over here who want to go back into time. So they're going to try to demonize this person so that they can have an easier time getting to this. And if we're asleep, And they'll have you looking over your shoulder for the boogeyman so that you can make the wrong choice. And run to the devil. At the bottom of the deck is the Empress. We have done many readings here about how they want the Empress. They want the Empress because she's the true power of the people. She's the last piece. If I rule the world, I love all my sons. I love them, baby. Right? And now you got a campaign going on the internet about the divine feminine and how even masculines are starting to recognize who she is, and they need to cut that shit right now. Two of Cups, soulmate in reverse. Because then she'll be protected. She'll build the Ten of Cups. Right? She'll be uninterested. What does this look like? What building does this look like with the SC, right? She won't need this. She's not worried about this because she's building nations over here, right? So no offense to my Caucasian feminines, but they're going to use the face of a feminine. They're going to use the face of a feminine. To say that we shouldn't question these things. Right? They've also poisoned that feminine's mind to thinking that the melanated people want to hurt her, so that she will have to stand alone with the Roe versus Wade. Because historically, the smaller segments have stood together to make laws pass. Okay? So they're going to try to use a particular one to confuse our Caucasian feminines into voting against their own best interests. Okay? Yeah, they already do, Marjorie Green. Correct. So this is what I'm saying, okay? So to my Caucasian feminines that watch me, please use discernment, because they're trying to divide you so they can attack you easier. Please use discernment. Okay? Please use discernment. They finna use y'all as the, what was the show? Handmaidens, or what was it? Oh, please, somebody put it in the thing. The Handmaiden's Child, or whatever that show was. That's what they finna do to y'all. Because they want the numbers up, right? Birth numbers, right? So they're trying to divide y'all from us. It's not in your best interest, hun. I'm going to say that. The Handmaiden's Tale. That's what they want, ladies. Now, don't think they won't do it to us melanated folk, because, you know, they need more people to fill the jobs, right? So who you think they want to do that? And I'm going to have to do a separate reading for another issue that has been gnawing at me, and I'm actually wondering why it is. So I'm going to mention it now, and then you guys let me know if we should do this reading and explore this, right? But there's a hubbub about emancipating oneself from this structure, right? But I wonder if that's done, because it's heavily being put out right now. And I have a funny feeling that if you do that, you can't vote for your own interest here. So if y'all are interested in that reading, because they're telling you that basically you're a bond, and that's true. I'm not saying that it's not true, but it's always been true, right? And you've still been able to own property and such things here, right? So what's to gain from having masses of people separating themselves from the nation? Why would they want that? Because then your vote's not valid. You have no claim to this land because you just already said that you're not one. Y'all better pay attention what their motive is. And research, before you do anything, research what's the ramifications of that. You think it's all up on, up and up? I doubt that, because I feel like they have things in place. Things in place. You're not going to benefit from that. My feeling. Okay, I could be wrong, but we could do a reading on that separately. But I feel like everything needs to be questioned right now. Okay? I feel like everything needs to be questioned right now. Let's not be gullible. Yes, in ways to make us want to discount ourselves. So we be in despair. They'll make you think, oh, it's just a realization that it just came to light right now. The shit been on the book since 1953. What's good? Pathway reverse. Because we have to confuse them so that they don't go down this path of enlightenment. And they're about to, know something, okay, inner enlightenment, right? And then love and the frequency of love. We got to stop that. We got to send them down the wrong road, right? Distant horizons is here. Spirit, why is distant horizons here? I want y'all to use your discernment. You may have to watch this twice to get complete everything what's happening, okay? Distant horizons, racing, running, avoiding, right? So that we'll run into the wrong arms, right? So that we could avoid the truth, right? So that we could see things, in absurd ways. So right now, there's this big push. I just want y'all to think, please, big push for flat earth theory. Who was the last person that thought that? Columbus. Why should we believe anything that Columbus thought? Isn't how this shit got started? So all of a sudden you're trying to convince us brown folk so we could be in denial, so they could stoke fear, anger, oppression, and then what? The time bomb goes off. I mean, I'm gonna say some shit. Okay, we had a president who actually freed a population. He was assassinated for it. That's where they're going back. You better, pay fucking attention, y'all. Pay attention. Correct. Because what they're doing is they're putting information out there to cause despair. Right? And what's the expectation here, Spirit? Why is this expectation here? Listen, if they come back to power, they're going to separate the classes. It's saying it right here. You won't be able to love who you want to love. Okay, so it's not just the LGBTQ. Look up loving versus loving. Okay, because they know that we're being pulled to higher consciousness and they're trying to pull us back. Y'all better... Why do you think there's so many bots Look up what was going on Facebook during the election time and how it was ruled that a lot of what was being disseminated was actually bots, right? So now they have trained enough minds that they're parroting what they're seeing back, and they're using the lack of info against us, okay? They feel like we'll just see a TikTok or whatever and we'll just believe that to be the case, won't do our research, and then we'll be in the shits. Retreat, right? Because last time we came out higher numbers than ever before. And we're rewriting our love story right now, right? We've had more people in power than we ever have in history here, right? More people that look like us, right? And we're being attracted to the frequency of true love, learning to open our third eye. And they want to cut that shit out because, you know, what happened is when the virus hit, right, they said we needed to stay home, and they thought that they were going to just be able to take advantage of this, but we had free time. And what does the advanced free time mind do? It researches. They didn't want us to do that, and now they want us to come back to work, and here we are crossed. We don't want to come back to work, right? We're trying to, in the Aquarian, new age of Aquarius, find new ways for ourselves. We're not relying on old systems, and they need to change that. Give your relationship a chance, right? So give your relationship a chance. They want you, I'm going to put it like this so you could understand. Give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. They saying to you, stay in an abusive relationship. This man came down the escalators talking about Mexicans were rapists, right? And that all us brown people came from, black and brown people came from shithole countries, right? And they're telling you, give us a chance. You're not safe under the current person, right? Do you think they value you? They do not. What they're trying to convince you is to go back to your abusive ex. Listen to the songs of your soul. Cleanse from the disinformation. They're trying to get us to argue amongst ourselves. It is an illusion. Release and let go. But they're going to try to get you to come to them by making you feel unsafe, because they want to prevent the new life that you're trying to build for yourself. And they have nothing but time to try to make this happen, to try to forge regret within us, to make us scared and shy, right? To take us back to a time from the past, like I said. We need to have faith in destiny. We need to start thinking about who they want us not to trust and why. And why? Why are they disseminating this information like this just happened this week when it's been on the books since 1953? I'm telling you right now, if those people come back into power, they're going to use it against us. That's what this is about. Okay? So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk to you guys about. I really feel like we need to start using some serious discernment, okay? I'm imploring you guys to not only do your research, but then afterwards, ask yourself who and what do they have to gain by what they're doing right now. All right, so that's what I have for you guys. And yes, listen, this is one of the, I rarely tell you guys to share this shit. I rarely tell you guys to share this shit, yo. Okay, because I really feel like we're being purposefully led down a rabbit hole to confuse us. And then 2 years from now, it's going to be a shit show. Okay? So that's what I have for you guys. I just want to say thank you to my returning subscribers for coming through and spending a little time with me. And if you're a new viewer and you felt I resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and comment, as I'd love to have you as part of the Lovely Soul family. I'm wishing you all light and love, okay? And please, guys, if you have not followed my TikTok, I could use you guys to go and follow light and love and blessings on blessings. Bye, gang gang.